KG with a new edition of Tuesday's News Pills. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Virus swallowing people in India, crematoriums overwhelmed. With life-saving oxygen in short supply, families are left on their own to ferry people sick with COVID-19 from hospital to hospital in search of treatment as India is engulfed in a devastating surge of infections. Too often their efforts end in mourning. On social media and in television footage, desperate relatives plead for oxygen outside hospitals or weep in the street for loved ones who died waiting for treatment. For the fourth straight day, India on Sunday set a global daily record of new coronavirus infections spurred by an insidious new variant that emerged here. The surge has undermined the government's premature claims of victory over the pandemic. The 349,691 new infections brought India's total to more than 16.9 million, behind only the United States. The Health Ministry reported another 2,767 deaths in the past 24 hours, pushing India's fatalities to 192,311. President Joe Biden said the US was determined to help, just as India sent assistance to the United States. As our hospitals were strained early in the pandemic, we are determined to help India in its time of need, Biden said in a tweet. Harris to tell United Nations body it's time to prep for next epidemic. Vice President Kamala Harris will make the case before United Nations members on Monday that now is the time for global leaders to begin putting the serious work into how they will respond to the next global pandemic. At the same time that the world works to get through this pandemic, we also know that we must prepare for the next, Harris will say, according to excerpts of the speech obtained by the Associated Press. The speech will be co-hosted by United Nations permanent representatives of Argentina, Japan, Norway, and South Africa. We have been reminded that the status quo is not nearly good enough and that innovations is indeed the path forward, Harris says. Biden's ambassador to United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, is also scheduled to deliver remarks at Monday's virtual event and intends to call on nations to build the pandemic preparedness architecture for the future. The takeaways from this past year is clear. The world barely withstood this pandemic, Thomas-Greenfield says in excerpts of her prepared remarks. We must be ready for the next. Nomadland wins Best Picture at a social distance Oscars. Zhou Zhao's Nomadland, a wistful portrait of itinerant lives on open roads across the American West, won Best Picture Sunday at the 93rd Academy Awards, where the China-born Zhao became the first woman of color to win Best Director, and a historically diverse group of winners took home awards. In the biggest surprise of a socially distanced Oscar ceremony held during the pandemic, Best Actor went to Anthony Hopkins for his performance in the dementia drama The Father. The award had been widely expected to go to Chadwick Boseman for his final performance in Ma Rainey Black Bottom, the night's last award. It ended the ceremony on a down note, particularly since Hopkins wasn't in attendance. Facebook versus Apple. The ad tracking Rohixa. A new feature is being introduced to iPhone and iPads this week, which is causing a huge rift between Apple and Facebook. It will allow device users to say no to having their data collected by apps. Facebook has been put in a spin by this because users' data and the advertising it can generate is what makes the company so profitable. The RAW focuses on a unique device identifier on every iPhone and iPad called IDFA, Identifier for Advertising. Companies which sell mobile ads, including Facebook, use this IDFA to both target ads and estimate their effectiveness. The IDFA can also be paired with other tech such as Facebook's tracking pixels or tracking cookies, which follow users around the web to learn even more about you. But when iOS 14.5 comes out this week, the new app tracking transparency feature will be on by default. It will force app developers to explicitly ask for permission from users to use this IDFA. Surveys suggest, and Facebook acknowledges, that up to 80% will say no. Apple has little interest in its customers' data because it makes money from selling devices and in app purchases rather than from advertising. Plus, it has always marketed itself as a privacy-first company. OneWave launches 6th batch of internet satellites. The London-based satellite operator OneWave has just put up its 6th batch of broadband internet spacecraft. 36 new platforms were launched from Russia, Far East, bringing the total in-orbit constellation to 182. This would include the UK, Northern Continental Europe, Alaska, Greenland, Iceland, Canada, and the Arctic Ocean. Global provision will require even more satellites. The initial projected network would have roughly 650, but a second generation will likely take this up to about 7,000. OneWave is a new majority owned by the British government and the Indian conglomerate Bharti Global. Its satellites are produced in Florida, US in a joint venture with the European aerospace giant Airbus. On Friday, OneWave launched an innovation challenge to find new technologies and applications for those future spacecraft. The winners will join a growing list of companies with access to OneWave's resources to help grow their ideas and be part of our global supply chain. US LiDAR maker Luminar partners with Airbus to test autonomous flight tech. Luminar Technologies Inc. said on Monday it would partner with Airbus SE to test technologies which could increase aircraft safety and ultimately enable an autonomous flight with obstacle detection. The two companies will work on enhancing aircraft sensing and perception. Luminar said, adding that its technology could also substantially improve the safety of existing aircraft applications. Partnering with Luminar will help us define and explore the next step towards more autonomous flight vehicles, said Sandra Sheffer, chief of Airbus UpNext, the planmaker's future technologies division. California-based Luminar makes LiDAR sensors which use laser light to detect objects ahead of and around the vehicle and are key components of many self-driving systems being developed by automakers. We are able to directly reapply what we accomplished for the automotive industry into aviation, said Luminar Chief Executive Austin Russell. In March, Luminar announced a deal with the self-driving software subsidiary of Volvo Cars to offer a combination hardware-software system to other automakers. Thanks for listening. See you in my next episode.